It said it was going to be really nice this weekend, and it turns out it is. It's a beautiful, sunny autumn afternoon. So we're going to head out to Tarn Hows for a little creative sketching trip. Martin's going to take his camera. Maybe he'll get us some reference photos for later. And I'm going to take my October color palette that I made a couple of weeks ago and my sketchbook and do some sketching. Tarn Hows is a really beautiful place. We've been there a couple of times. I actually have one of my older plein air sketchbook videos at the same place. So I'll link that one if you want to see it. I asked you guys if you had any questions on Instagram, and I got quite a lot of questions back. So I'll be answering those as we go. But I guess we better get our kit together because we're going to be leaving in about an hour. I'll show you what I'm taking, what I'm leaving behind, and all of my lovely October art supply materials. In the past, I have had dedicated sketchbooks like this outside sketchbook where I'll just use that for plein air sketching. And it's really nice to kind of keep a memory of all the places I've been and all the trips I've taken. And then recently I've also been trying to use these tiny little sketchbooks, which I'm not a big fan of. They're like size A6, I think. They're really, really small. And I find my drawings are kind of awkward in them. Like I don't have enough space to spread out and really like explore. But they are quite handy because they're quite small. And it really depends on what you like in the sketchbook. If you want to take something bigger or smaller, if you want to be inconspicuous, if you're going somewhere public, if you want to use wet media, you might want to take a watercolor sketchbook. So it really depends. Like you can kind of just take whatever you feel like. I like something a little bit bigger. And right now I'm not using a dedicated sketchbook. I'm using just this Pith sketchbook, which is not the A4 size. It's the one down. I think it's the Cara. We've been making lots of lovely October spreads like this one here. And I kind of want to do lots more October trees like these guys before we get into the spooky section, which I'm going to do the second half of the month. Pith sketchbook is the one I'm taking. And I'm also going to be cutting up some paper. This is just computer paper. And I basically just cut it to the same size. So you don't have any sticking out, and it's literally just computer paper. And the reason why I do that is because I'm not taking a spray can or fixative with me. Even if I did, it'll be outside, so it probably wouldn't work. It'll be blown everywhere. And also, I don't really like using fixatives. I get asked a lot if I use a fixative or what ones I do use. I do have a Sennelier oil pastel fixative that I use in oil pastels sometimes, if I remember. I do have a lot of oil pastels in the color palette, the material palette I'm using right now too, so I'll show you those. I think paper is going to save the day because I'm lazy and I forget to spray. So that's the sketchbook, but what's going in the sketchbook? Let's have a look. So normally in a plein air kit, I would take three main things. Something for the background, and I love using these paint pens normally for the background. Maybe some paints if I'm feeling fancy. And then for like top layers and details, I love taking colored pencils. So they could be any of the color pencils that I'm enjoying right now. And then for the tops, I like to take things that can kind of go over. So neo colors, neo pastels, anything that's like a really nice top layer, because a lot of the times these guys, things like neo colors, neo pastels, neo arts, you can't really go over them very well with other material, but they go over everything really nicely. So that's kind of like the trifecta that I normally like to take. The materials change, but it's normally like background, midground, first layer, second layer, third layer is normally what I take. Today's going to be a little bit different because today I'm going to be using all the materials that I chose for October. That includes a lot of things like inks, this fluid paint, some acrylic gouache, and even some Japanese watercolor. But plein air sketching, one of the questions I was asked is how I deal with like wet material. And the truth is I leave it behind. I think a really popular combination for plein air sketching is a watercolor and an ink pen, something like that, something painterly and beautiful that you can put down and you can capture the environment around you. But unfortunately, I don't have the skill, the patience, or even the inclination to use like a wet media when I'm out. I like things to dry quickly. I like to be able to turn the page and work on something new. And I don't like having to wait for paint to dry. Also, I find it quite cumbersome to have a palette, a paintbrush, water, cloth, all of that mixed together kind of makes me just want to leave the wet material at home and go for a more drier material, like the paint pen that I mentioned earlier, even like some markers, just have a markers as a base, or even sometimes in the past I've used like a neo color or something, a water soluble pencil, and mix that with a little bit of water, and I use those as my wet medium rather than taking watercolor or paint, so like a whole gouache palette. That's just how I like to work, but maybe some of you are braver than me and take watercolors or paints out. Let me know if you do and if you think I should try it. Maybe it can be a challenge for a future sketching trip. I am going to be a little bit brave today and take out this Japanese watercolor palette. I think it's not going to be too hard to work with, and I'm going to pair it with a water brush. So like one of these brushes that have the tube that you can fill up with water. It's just a synthetic plastic kind of nib. It's not really fancy. It's not anything, you know, special or exciting. It's not going to make a masterpiece, but it will hopefully spread paint onto the page, which is all you really need when you're outside. The rest of my palette is kind of miscellaneous items. So I'm probably going to use these markers for backgrounds, or even as a kind of meld in with one of the water soluble pencils or the neo colors, because what's really nice to do, because this is ink here, you can kind of take this brush that's ink and you can mix it with something that's water soluble, almost the same way that you would use a water to mix a water soluble pencil, but because it's ink, it takes on the color of that and it mixes in really nicely. Then we have some water soluble pencils here, just a few of them. I don't want to bring too much because sometimes if I have too much water soluble stuff, I get a little bit excited and I use too much water and everything smudges together and it becomes a bit of a mess. Then we have the dry pencil section. So these are just a selection of Caran d'Ache, Light Fast, and Doe and Drawing pencils. Just some lovely little colors there. I tried to get a mix of light colors like the apricot and the pale aqua, some mid-range colors, maybe like this orange and this violet here, and then some darker colors for details. So I always try and get a range of lighter and darker in pretty much all of the materials. So every layer will have a blend. So we have some darker and lighter pencils, darker and lighter water soluble materials, and the same with the markers and the paints. And now we're going to move on to the top layers, or kind of details, color blocks, things that can have a lot of texture, that can smudge, that can, these are just my favorite things because they add so much to a page. So I'm playing with these this month. They are the tempera sticks by Shuttle Art, and I think you can probably get a whole bunch of different brands. They're basically like this paint stick in a tube, and they're almost like a lipstick. They're very greasy. They're quite weird to draw with, and you can't really draw over them very well, but they are really nice to go over things. And I've been enjoying using them. I've had them for so many years. I got them as a present and I'm finally just now starting to use them. Then we've got a whole range of neo colors, neo arts, neo pastels, the neo trio. I'm coining it. If you're watching, you can have the neo trio. You can take that as a market employee, and all I'm asking for is free art supplies for the rest of my life. Thank you in advance. And then I'm taking one little very dirty white art graph block, which is nice for texture on top of things or mixing in. It's water soluble as well. And guys, that is all of the materials. It does look like a bit of a random palette, but I actually did take a couple of days to figure out this palette at the start of the month. And these are all of the colors. These are all of the colors in it. So I'm not going to have some of them, mainly this section here, because these are paints. But I think with what we have plenty. Like, we have more than enough to work on. A few of the questions I got on Instagram were asking how much I take and what do I actually use from what I take. And I kind of swing wildly between taking way too much and not using any of it, and saying I'm not going to take much this time and taking only a few, and then wishing I had more. So it's really hard to find that balance. I personally haven't found it myself yet. I always seem to have more than I need, but I would rather have more than I need than not have something. as long as I can carry it with me and I'm not complaining about the weight. So if we're going hiking like up a hill or something and I'm just taking a small sketchbook and a few materials, I'll try not to take too much. But on this trip today, we're heading out to the Tarn. Martin's going to wander off and go take photos of trees. I'm going to wander off and go draw, and I'm not going to be walking very far. So it's fine. I'm just going to plonk myself down on the ground and I can spread everything out. So it's fine today to take what I've showed you. And actually, in reality, this isn't even much. Like I would normally take a lot more. But afterwards, we can go through the sketches and see what I didn't need. And we can have a look at like the percentage of what I didn't use. And we can nerd out about that, I guess. We'll get like heavy into the maths and statistics. It'll be great. Just what an art video needs, I think. Another question I got was about picking colors, like which colors to take with me. And I picked out this autumn color palette at the start of the month. I don't do this a lot when I'm plein air sketching. Normally when I'm plein air sketching, I would take what I've been using that week or what's on my desk, some colors that I've really been enjoying or a new material that I really want to play with. Or I would just randomly pick things, but I always try and make sure I have a wet medium, a dry medium, light colors, dark colors, and like fat materials and skinny materials. And that way, if you kind of just like hit all of those things, you can make sure you get a good variety in texture, in line, in coverage, and in contrast. But apart from that, colors are just kind of what you're feeling. Maybe you want to go for monochrome, maybe you want to do complementary colors, maybe you're going for pastel, maybe you want to have really realistic and you want to pick all the proper like greens and blues and ochres for the trees. Or maybe you're just on a neon high and you just, everything is just neon orange with a black pencil. I mean, I think as long as, for me, as long as I have the kind of the texture and the line width and the contrast down, the colors are kind of secondary to that. So I probably showed you some of these pages as I was rambling, so you got a kind of a good feel of the different types of color palettes that I use. I've shown you all of my materials, so let's pack them up and get ready to go. So for packing, I have a couple of different pencil cases. This is the main one that I use. It's really old. It's really not that efficient. Everything gets stuck at the bottom. This is actually some stuff from my last plein air outing that I did. So you can see it's just like a random selection of things. I was really into kind of using these Stabilos at the time. This pen too that I got as a present from my friend. Oh, and also, actually, I forgot to mention little clips like this are really great to have to keep your sketchbook pages from flying apart. So let's take all of this out. In this pencil case, I'm going to pop all of my markers, my pencils, pencil sharpener, little pegs, these, whatever these are, and of course my water brush. Then I have these tiny containers that I saw years ago. Melanie Chadwick had them on her YouTube, so I stole them, stole the idea from her. And this is where I'm going to try and squeeze all of my... Is that going to fit? No. Okay. I have 3 of them, so it's not a problem. What we can do, I'll put all the pastels in one. And now you can kind of see the amount I have of each. These are the Neo colours, these are the Neo Arts, and these are the Neo Pastels. About the same in each, but I do have some favourites. So the Neo, the Cobalt, light Cobalt Blue, I always take with me. Really been enjoying the Neo Arts White. That goes over everything. They also have some really, really gorgeous colours here. Like, I love this one, which is violet grey, and they have a pinky one too that I'm not using this month, and also olive brown. I love an olive. And then in the pastels, I have a whole bunch of different colours, lots of greens actually, even though it is autumn, but there's still a lot of green trees around in autumn. And one neo pastel that I absolutely love is this one. I think it's yellow greenish or bright yellow green. I can't remember. It's gone. I need to get a new one really. And then we'll just take these paints with us and just kind of hope for the best. Because I'm not taking the paints, I won't be able to have my one Neo allowance. So I'm gonna pop in a pencil. So this one is the Caran d'Ache, And this one's the Holbein. Holbein is definitely more October themed. We just arrived at Tarn Hows, and it's not as orange and yellow and golden as hoped, but we can exaggerate some of those colours. Martin's going to wander off now. I wasn't going to sit here and draw because I always sit here and draw this view, but I do like it. But I might focus on some of the trees down there and some of them over there in the distance. And another reason why I don't like sitting right here is because it's right on the main path and everyone's walking in front of me and behind me. And it's a bit awkward filming out in public. I'm still not perfect at it, but I'm trying to do my best. So I don't have a tripod with me or anything. I'm just balancing. I couldn't find my tripod, but everything's going to be handheld. But I'm just going to start with doing some panels just to kind of do some real quick warm-ups just to get this first view out of our heads. So not the best filming, but I basically have the DJI under my armpit, and it's not the best for filming, but it's what we have to work with right now. So I'm gonna get my paints out. I just want to do some really quick warm-ups, so I don't want them to take up too much time or too much like drying time. So I'm just gonna do some real quick, it's just some quick color. It doesn't matter if it's like representative or anything right now. I'm just filling in the background to just try and get some color down on the page. And also, like, I could have done this at home actually, but didn't think about that. I'm trying to go quite fast because we only have about an hour and a half until the sun goes down. Because we're actually near the mountains, the sun will probably go down behind the mountains before it would go down normally. Oh, that's a very dark bit, isn't it? Yeah, I'm literally not even looking at what I'm drawing right now. I'm just trying to get some color down. I don't know, I think I just need to warm up because honestly, I haven't drawn in public for so long and I feel a little bit vulnerable sitting here. I'm just picking some trees that are kind of in the background without taking the whole scene in, because sometimes the whole scene can be a little bit overwhelming. Just to simplify things a little bit, I'm going to use this one yellowish marker to do all the trees, and we'll go over them if we need to, but I'm basically just blocking in the shapes. Are they tree shapes? Who knows? They're just blobs right now. I do find it quite difficult to do detail anyway, so I find it helpful just to try and be as abstract as I can, especially when I'm just warming up or when I haven't been drawing for a long time. And some of you guys may know that trees are actually my nemesis. I'm also like filming in public, trying to film and draw at the same time and talk and explain my process and draw a tricky scene. So really, I think I'm doing pretty well. These trees over here are actually green, but I'm just going to keep with the yellow. These are like those really nice, I don't actually know what they are, cedar trees, alpine trees, something like that. And these ones here are actually birch trees, so that's pretty good because they are white, but some of the trunks are brown, but I'm just gonna do them as white anyway because I don't really think it matters about the color when I'm drawing in like outside and when I'm drawing on location. What really matters to me is almost like the feeling of the place and just being, you know, in the moment, which is so cliche, but also kind of true, I think. So when I look back on these pages, I remember the sun and I remember people out taking photos with their families, or a dog that went past and sniffed at my art supplies, or I don't know, just, you know, just whatever's happening. I'll just remember and remember feeling how awkward I was filming, things like that. So that's kind of like why I really like drawing on location. Right, I gotta put the camera down to concentrate on these ones because these ones are tricky. I'm kind of annoyed that this tree is facing to the left and every other tree is facing to the right. That was my bad. So one of the questions I got was how much do I use my imagination when I'm drawing out on location versus how much I draw just what's in front of me. And And I think this scene is the perfect example to kind of show how I mix the two, because right now in the UK it's autumn, and we were hoping that all these trees would be orange and yellow and golden, and a few of them are, but it's mostly green because there's a lot of evergreens here, and brown because a lot of them have lost their leaves. So, you know, I can take the tree shapes, or I can take the vibe of the place and just change the colours up and make it more autumny. And then I'm kind of mixing my imagination with real life. And I do that a lot anyway with colour, which is something that I really enjoy doing, like not using representative colour. But another thing about this scene, which isn't in this sketchbook, it's in an old sketchbook when we came here a couple of times ago, and I drew this scene exactly. I always struggle with just drawing, let's just see what's in this pencil case here to use quickly. Maybe we can get a little bit of darkness in the background. Maybe this grey. Yeah, I always struggle with drawing just nature because I find there's nothing to focus on. So this scene, the last time I drew it, I actually did a house on that island down there, and it turned out really cool. Like, I completely made the scene up. It was like basically a place that I would have loved to have been, like if that had been a real place. Imagine if there was just a little house on the island down there. That would have been so fun. So you can kind of add things or subtract or change things as you like. I don't know if plein air sketching is just different to different people. Some people really like to capture the hustle and bustle of life, and some people really love the challenge of showing what they see, and some people just enjoy the the process. So I think it can be, I can think it can be one thing or all the things maybe. But I'm just gonna try and finish this scene now, and then we can move on to a different place. So I finished this spread. It's very abstract. I basically didn't really look at what I was drawing, to be honest, after I started. Sun is rapidly going down behind me, and I want to see if I can go over there, chase the sun over there onto the hill, and we'll draw back looking this way. Maybe we'll even see some mountains. So yeah, let's go for a little hike. So I'm just hiking up the road so we can get to the top path, because I think it'll be a bit quiet up there and sunnier. There was a table at the top of the car park, but the view was just too expansive, and I don't do well with big vistas. So we're walking on the upper track now, and we're going to come out in a second and we'll be able to see the lake. So let's see what we can draw from there. That bit down there that you can see with the outcrop of land and all the tall pine trees is really pretty, and I think that might be fun to draw. Okay, I think I can probably sit here. It's right next to the road, but should be quiet this time of day. And I'm going to draw that down there, basically a crop like this. So I'm going to do like a draw first, colour in later kind of thing. So I've got my cast black pencil here, and to the side of me I filled up my sharpener lid with water so I can dip it in, and that should give me a really nice texture. I wasn't even recording. I was just talking about drawing this part here. This is the land. I did the line too high, and then I'm basically just doing the trunks, and they're all leaning, and there's a couple at the end that are like falling into the water, and there's a beautiful island behind that's got lots of gorgeous orange and green pines on it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to draw them because I've kind of drawn all the black first, and this is water soluble, so it will mess up everything. So this is the trees behind. We just symbolize them as the rectangles, I guess. This is all very abstract. Oh, there's a bug on the page. Don't worry, no bugs were harmed in the making of this. And then at the front, there's also some like really nice kind of reddish trees. I'm just gonna do them as blobs, honestly. See, everything's kind of melding into the black there. For the leaves, I'm using a neo colour just because it's a bit fatter. And I'm just scribbling. I'm not very good at drawing pines, and look, if I let go, my sketchbook's gonna go down the hill. So look, I almost lost it. Stay here, sketchbook. Sun is going down behind the mountains. See, look, this isn't really what I had hoped for. It's just not me. Like, this is just a mess, and it really doesn't feel like anything I would draw. I mean, I've drawn it, so sometimes you just gotta give up, you know. Let me try again. I think the black was too harsh. Against my better judgment, I got the paints out. The light is definitely going now. It's gone behind the trees. I'm just sitting by myself on a gravel path. So I'm just going to keep painting. I'm going to keep going with some details. Am I enjoying it? Not really. I've got to tell you guys, honestly, this isn't, I really love coming here. It's beautiful, but it's not my favorite place to draw. It's just trees, guys. It's just trees. I'll pop in this road in at the bottom, even though it's not really there in real life. It's a lot lower down. There's also a road at the top here, which is making this like hill in the background. So I'm going to draw that in too. Put some fences in. There's people coming. Hide. So if you follow my finger, there's like a tree there, and there's a tree there and there, but there's no tree there, which is where I'm looking at. So just to make it a little bit more interesting, I popped some trees down in the foreground, kind of smushed them along a little bit. Everything is a little bit difficult though, because the page is still a bit wet, so I'm doing my best, and these aren't standing out very well, but I'll probably go back over and make the water a little bit darker. Alright, let's put some fences down. Let's try the cast. That seems to go over pretty much everything. Yes. Amazing. So, oh, look at that. Honestly, that is making it look better. Oh, I love a good fence. I'm going to use the same yellow marker that we used before, just to kind of put a little bit of colour down here, because there's a lot of trees on the shore. Completely wrecked the nib, but I don't really mind, to be honest. Another thing I'd like to do is just put a little bit of shadow where the water meets the land here, because there's a lot of shadow. I think the land must kind of come out, and it just adds a little bit of depth. I'm going to take this Inktense blue and just really lightly kind of try and darken around the trees a bit. It's a little bit vibrant, but in my October palette, this is the only blue I have that isn't almost like a black. So it's a little bit limited in that aspect. And one of the questions I got on Instagram was how to deal with drying time. Like how to deal with drying time if you take wet materials. And I don't take wet materials a lot. I'm kind of glad I brought them today though, because otherwise I wouldn't really know what I'd be doing. But a lot of the time when I use wet material, I tend to use it with things that it will go with. So I'll use like a water-soluble pencil over the top, so it kind of can go through the paint. I think, do I need to do them in different colours almost? Maybe I need to do the back ones like in dark. Like this, just so they have a bit more depth. I've got this kind of grey colour, which is a little bit lighter. I just don't know how I'm going to do the tops of them, because I actually really hate drawing pine trees. I really struggle with them. They also have these pinky ones, which I think are kind of catching the light a little bit, which is why they're a bit pinky. Can I just like do a halo of green around it, and it will look like a tree? There's too much colour everywhere. I'm going to try and salvage it with the white paint, with the white pen. I don't know if this is going to... no, that's not even sticking to the page. And also, we can put some white in the water, just to give it a little bit of texture. It's getting a bit cold now. The sun's gone behind the mountains. Martin's about a 10-15 minute walk away. I'm going to walk towards him, but it is really beautiful up here. I just don't think it's for me for drawing, but I'll show you what I've drawn. So that is how it turned out. Yeah, that's the view. Definitely didn't do it justice. All the mountains so pretty, and the birch tree and the sun. Never mind, it was nice to get out anyway. So let's pack everything up and head down the hill. It's about 2 weeks later now, and I thought we could have a little debrief on how the plein air video went. I can't remember most of it. I edited it a couple of weeks ago, so I have gone through all of my materials because I wanted to do like what we thought we were going to use, what we didn't use. I think I've managed to separate out the materials. What we didn't use was actually quite a lot. There were a lot of markers there. There's a lot of darker colours that I didn't really need, I don't think, for this whole month. But I used anyway because I thought I was going to do a lot of nighttime scenes. Also, there were a lot of near colours that I didn't use because for some reason I've been kind of leaning towards pastels, like the texture of oil pastels lately. I've really been enjoying that. So I didn't really need a lot of the stuff I took with me. And here's the stuff that I did take. I basically let the paint do most of the work, and then the other stuff was just icing on the top. I've really been enjoying these tempera sticks lately. They're really translucent, so they go over a lot of things. And when they dry, you can go over them, just you have to kind of like be a little bit patient, which is not one of my virtues. The gold, like this goldy orange and this burnt red orange. For the pastels, they were doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So a lovely peach, grey, and that gorgeous like green yellow. It's almost like a neon with a few little pencils thrown in. So really, I could have split my art supplies in like thirds and just taking 1/3. I always think like it's better to have more than to have less, but recently, and very recently, just over the last like 2 or 3 days, I've been thinking maybe I should go out more and just sketch with a single pencil or like 2 pencils, because I think taking all these materials sometimes is kind of a detriment to observing and drawing what I actually see, which I'm going to go into in a second. Let me just get to the sketchbooks and show you what we did as a little reminder for all of us. So I remember on the day I really wasn't enjoying it. I don't think I enjoyed this plein air trip. I really like being in the area and the light and the autumn colours and everything, but the sketches themselves I didn't enjoy. But looking back, I actually really like this one here, which is this kind of like pastel-y one. I think there's not much contrast in it, which is the only critique I would give it. And some of the trees were definitely made up. I did not look at the trees, I just made them up. But also this one tree here that leans the wrong way, like every other tree is leaning one way and this tree leans the opposite way like an absolute rebel. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. I love it when everything's going in one direction. I think that's really fun. Moving on to the page that kind of broke me. the seed that broke me. I actually showed this to Martin. He said he liked it. There's no accounting for taste, that was there. And then I tried again, and this is the one where I threw basically every single material that I used, well, that I showed you that I used on this page. This is when I was really struggling with the trees here. Like I had a bit of a breakdown. And when I got home, I was actually feeling a bit down about the trees especially, because I do love trees. I love looking at them, walking through them, thinking about drawing them. Drawing them sometimes is a bit of a struggle depending on what tree they are. So I actually spent the next few days, like couple of days, drawing some more trees. I thought I was going to do more, but I did these 2, which I really enjoyed. Again, leaning the opposite directions, annoying. I did these with pastel and ink, like an inky paint, and I really liked how they turned out. So on stream the next night, I did another page of trees, this one here. And these trees didn't turn out very well, but it was fun experimenting with different techniques. And I basically just want to kind of get to a point where there's a way that I like to draw them. You know, like it's almost like finding your style. But I know I have a style right now, but style's always evolving. But sometimes it's like finding a style in a certain subject or object, or like even like facial features or color, like all these little things all come together to make your overall style, I think. So the thing is, for me, for trees, I just haven't found that feels natural for me. Like I haven't found it yet. So I want to keep exploring that. So I'm going to, but thankfully now it's coming into winter, so there's going to be no leaves on the trees. My favourite time of year when I don't have to worry about leaves. I also did a little bit of plein air sketching at the weekend with my friend Mandy, and this is where I think this combined with a talk that I heard from Emma Carlisle on Friday. If anyone watched that one, let me know. It was really good. She did it with Draw Brighton. I think it's on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the description if I can find it. But yeah, definitely recommend that talk because it was so inspiring and just made me want to get out and draw like on location a lot more. But that talk combined with this like plein air sketching session with Mandy that I haven't really gone out and drawn a lot the last couple of months. It kind of made me feel like I need to really focus more on observation because I really loved going out. Like I really love going out in nature and just sitting, just the process of sitting and drawing in nature is lovely, or in a town, or, you know, on location. I love the process of it. Even just, it doesn't matter sometimes to me if it turns out bad. Okay, I said that, but, but I think we know I'm lying. It does bother me sometimes, but the process itself is the fun part. Saying that though, I have been struggling, I think recently, with feeling like it's not being lazy, but it's like almost phoning everything in, like just not really bothering to observe what's around me, like take in the shapes. I'm looking at what I'm seeing and I'm just doing an approximation of the symbols. Does that make, I don't know if that makes sense, but this was like a warm-up sketch that I did, which I quite like. I love the colours in this one actually. Actually, I really like this one too. We're getting to the ones I didn't like, don't worry. As we moved on, I found I wasn't even looking, and I have been joking like, oh, I'm not even looking at what I'm drawing. I've been joking about that recently, but it's actually kind of bothering me now because this one here I actually like as well. I was going to get to the point of the thing, but this one we did from inside a restaurant, looking out, and the sun was in my eyes, but that's not an excuse. It's not like I hate this. I don't think it's bad or anything. I want to be able to get to a place again where I'm drawing what I'm seeing, but I'm stylizing that rather than just looking at something and then just drawing an approximation of that thing. And it's not that I want to be like a realistic, like I don't want to be like, you know, hyper realistic drawer or anything. I'm not happy with like how simplified everything's getting, and I just want to bring back a little bit more of the character of the places. It's just like a row of boxes with more boxes in it. Like I can look at this and I know where it is because I've seen it. I was sitting there, but I just wanted to have more charm, and I also wanted to have more life. I want to add characters or draw the people that are there, or add the animals or the birds or just something rather than just large blocks of colour with line on top. I really love sitting here and drawing. It's a row of houses. There's some washing here. There was beautiful autumn tree in someone's garden, and sitting and drawing with Mandy and chatting was really fun. Even as I was drawing it, I wasn't feeling it. Like I just want to like connect more with the place, I guess. So after watching the talk with Emma Carlisle on Friday and seeing all of her beautiful sketchbooks as she goes out and draws on location, it got me like so fired up. And a lot of her early sketches, she just used like a pencil or a few materials when she was kind of first getting into it again. And I think I just need to do that, like go out with a pencil, a couple of pencils, maybe one colour, and just literally try and draw things around me, and maybe even try and draw them as I see them, like actually not hyper realistic obviously, but the detail that I see. You may have heard that saying in design that you have to know the rules before you can break them, and I feel like that's kind of the same with art. Like I can get really stylized, but it's after understanding what I'm drawing, like the shape of it. So if you're gonna draw a character, a really stylized character, you can draw that because you know the anatomy of a human and how they work, which is another thing I struggle with sometimes. So maybe I need to go back and almost kind of do like some basic art stuff to kind of become more, grow my power. I don't know if any of that makes sense. It's just ramblings of Monday morning. It's before work. I haven't had breakfast yet. Maybe my blood sugar's low, but I just wanted to kind of like, I thought that was a good outro to this video because I was struggling through it, like the plein air part, and I just wanted to let you guys know what was on my mind and what I'm thinking lately about my art to keep everyone up to date. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you have any thoughts on plein air sketching, on stylizing, on observing? Like, how do you approach it? How would you like to approach it in the future? Maybe we can do like almost a video series or another, like a catch-up vlog in the future after I've done some exercises and see how I'm feeling then, and if I've improved or if my style has changed, or maybe if I'm just feeling more comfortable drawing in public. I think that might be nice. It is coming into winter now, so it might be a little bit harder to get out, but I'm tough. I can do it. So if that sounds fun, let me know in the comments or leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that video when it comes out. That's all for me. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.